Hello everyone. So, begun the process of disassembling Lola and stripping things off as we figure out what's missing and what's here and what's in good shape and what needs to be replaced and whatnot. And one of the things I kind of enjoy about this sort of project is that you do have a little bit of a complete the puzzle question where you can learn things as you strip down the various pieces. I think I mentioned in my first video that after the maiden voyage, if you will, the first ride that I took on her, she did her best impression of a sieve or a colander. There was just sort of oil everywhere when we got back home. And I've had several British bikes before and they've all leaked a bit, but this was a lot. And so I was kind of curious as to what that might have been caused by, and went ahead and looked underneath the bike, and there was just sort of oil everywhere on the bottom of the engine and even up towards the top of the engine in kind of a weird way. So I think we're starting to figure that out. When we were going through the disassembly process, taking things off, I found a little bit of an interesting thing here. There's a breather. Folks that are familiar with engines will know there's usually some sort of a crankcase breather, and the Norton is no exception to that. They used a number of different approaches to the problem over the years, but you know, the breather hose connects down here and runs to the back, and on this particular model it runs into the top of the oil tank. And this guy, with no clamp whatsoever, was just sort of hanging off the side of the oil tank when we took the seat off, and no surprise, it's spewing oil everywhere. So a couple things going on. One, I probably will put a clamp on it. I've typically seen them with some sort of clamp. Two, this doesn't appear to be the right diameter hose actually for the fitting there. You'll notice there's an awful lot of play. It's really quite loose. And three, I believe for this model, although I haven't torn the engine apart, I believe for this model there's actually a timed valve, if you will, right behind that fitting on the crankcase that's supposed to regulate the pressure that comes out of the crankcase as part of the breathing. And if that thing goes wrong, then the engine, as it's pumping away, can basically just decide to shoot oil like crazy out of the crankcase breather into the oil tank, as opposed to the oil return lines, which would typically come out of the timing side of the case over here, back into the oil pump kind of at the bottom. So mystery of the really remarkable oil loss. I'm sure it's not solved. I'm sure there are some leaks elsewhere, but I think the substantial majority of the amount that was dripping down even over the top of the engine and down onto the ground was likely coming out of the crankcase breather just spewing all over the top. So anyway, an interesting tidbit to find out. In terms of the disassembly here, what we've started doing is taking some of the brightwork off. You'll notice the mud guards are off, the stays, all that sort of thing. The next few days we'll probably take the chain guard and every other chromed bit and bob on the bike and take those off and hopefully send them off for refurbishment here. There is a little bit of work that'll need to be done also in terms of, we've got some dings in the original mudguard on the front. The rest of the mudguards look fine. The other mudguard looks fine. But a little bit of work there to deal with some repair, and then rechroming. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to have the rims rechromed. These are the original Dunlop rims for the bike, or whether we'll replace them with alloy, which might be a little bit easier in terms of maintenance, but haven't made that decision yet. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for following along on this journey, and I'll post another video when I have something else to share. Thanks.